Welcome to Grief Sucks Life After Loss, where we talk all things grief. Thanks for being with us today, and we hope you enjoy this episode. Welcome, Ryanne. Thanks for being here with us today.
Hi, Linda. Thank you for having me.
You have a story of grief, but not in the way of death, and a way of dealing with illness.
That is
And we
correct.
can't wait to hear your story today because I think a lot of people go through this and maybe don't realize it, that they're grieving a part of their life that could have been or should have been or isn't going to be.
It's definitely a challenge. And first, I want to say that everybody going through a loss, whether it's the passing of a loved one or like in my situation, the loss of self, you know, and even people who haven't passed but are no longer a part of your life. I just want to say to everybody, I'm very sorry for your loss. I I know it hurts deeply, and it's okay to feel that. That's something that I really struggled to figure out, that it was okay to feel grief for that loss. So I just want everybody to know their feelings are valid and all forms of grief are valid as well. So going into it, I like to tell everybody that I am the huge car girl who got too sick to drive the fun cars. So I wrote about them instead.
Okay.
And the catalyst for all of that was kind of COVID. In a roundabout way, COVID brought all of this out. So I was a financial professional. I worked for an investment firm. I was a mentor. I was a limited partner. I was award winning in my firm, and it was something that I enjoyed, and I really loved my clients and my customers and even my coworkers, mentoring them and training and all of that. So COVID hit, and I can't do that job from home. And I have to be home with my kids because now my kids are doing distance learning, as many of us had to go through. So we catch COVID, and we're very fortunate that it wasn't that bad for us. But after, I'm starting to get like really weird symptoms. I was having really horrible tremors in my hands. And so for months after, I'm going to doctors and we're trying to figure out what's going on. MRIs, and do you have Parkinson's? Do you have MS? Like all of these kind of scary things being thrown out there. And nothing was coming up positive, but I'm still having these horrible tremors to the point like I can hardly write. And this is a scary. It is. It's terrifying. We finally get to about 6 months after I had COVID. So now we're in about July. It was the middle of the summer. And my doctor says, well, when did this start happening? It was right after you had COVID. Okay, well, maybe this is long haul. And basically gave me a cocktail of meds that they use to treat long haul symptoms in COVID patients. And funny enough, the tremors go away. So fast forward another 6 months. So about a year after I had COVID the first time, we catch COVID again. And this time after we recover from COVID, well, now the tremors have come back full force. But not only that, I'm having major like brain body disconnect, and I'm having cardiac issues, and like it's getting scarier and scarier.
Yeah.
To the point where we were doing a bucket list track day at a Formula One track in Austin, and I couldn't drive. I was dangerous. I was dangerous to myself. I was dangerous to the other people on the track. And when you're out there doing something you love and you're feeling so horrible that you have to take yourself out of it, it was devastating. And so after we came back from that was when I talked to my doctor again. And that's when it kind of triggered for him. Well, wait a minute. You're having all of these symptoms plus now the cardiac stuff as well. I really think you have Lyme. And we had tested for it before. I've tested for it many times over the last many years. And it didn't come back positive. So my doctor said, we're going to send your blood work off to a specialized lab in California. Of course, it's super expensive. Insurance doesn't cover it, but at least we'll know. So sure enough, the week of my 40th birthday, I got my Lyme diagnosis. And I cried tears of relief because I finally knew what I was fighting. And I knew it was going to be a hard road, but at least I knew what the road was.
Right.
So they think that I've actually been carrying it for about 20 years.
Wow. And it
Because
never showed up.
well, it didn't show up on the normal tests that are just not as sensitive as some of these specialized ones. So I probably have had it, and if I had done this specialized test 15 years ago, it probably would have come up, but it didn't. That's something like I look back at things that had happened previously in my life, things like I was in a pretty nasty car accident, and it took me a really, really long time to recover. And it was mostly like crippling fatigue. Like, yeah, my body hurts, but like I can't even get out of bed, because I'm tired, not because my back hurts. That does too, but because I'm tired. And it was, well, gee, that was a Lyme flare, and I didn't know. So I look back at all of these events in my life where I was just feeling horrible, and it's like, yeah, that was probably a Lyme flare too. And I think about those times, and this is where the grief and the guilt, which is part of grief, starts to creep up. And it's, if I had known, what would I have done differently? Would I have been able to recover back then, and then I wouldn't be where I am now? So all of that comes up. But I'm a car girl. I like to use a car quote. So this one is attributed to Mario Andretti. And he said, when life gives you a curve, downshift and take it aggressively. And so when I think about, during COVID, everything that was going on and finally getting my diagnosis, that was my curve. And me downshifting and taking it aggressively was, basically leaving my job, giving up my partnership at this investment firm, and completely changing everything to become a children's book author. Like I said, I'm the car girl who got too sick to drive the car, so now I write about them. So now I have my first book, Speedy Phoebe.
He's cute.
She's adorable, and she's based on a car that I used to have. And it's just, it's a sweet little story about, she gets bullied a little bit, and this is about resilience and kindness to others who maybe are not so kind to you, as well as kindness to yourself, when you have all of this external stuff going on, and self-worth. So, these were lessons that I wanted to teach kids, but they were also at the same time lessons that I had to kind of relearn myself while I'm going through all of this, being a human pincushion, being poked and prodded all the time for all my treatments, for, my lab work, for acupuncture, IVs, whatever it was. Just to remind myself that I was doing this to, not only feel better myself, but to be better for my kids, to be better for my husband and my family. And to be able to, contribute again. So again, that's where the guilt and the grief comes in, because who would I have been if I didn't have this diagnosis? Mm-hmm. And I miss the energy, and I miss, being able to get things done. Now it's like I have to plan things knowing that I'm going to need recovery time after. So it's like, okay, I'm going to have this amazing conversation with you, and then I'm going to have to go take a nap after.
You're going to need a break.
I have to plan it that way. And that's,
Yeah.
that's my new life. And I do miss not having to do that. But at the same time, I wouldn't be an author. I wouldn't be able to show my kids that, sometimes bad things happen and you just have to make the best of it. Sometimes you have to take that curve and downshift so you can take it aggressively. So with everything that I feel like I've lost, I've also gained so much. And I'm so incredibly grateful. That I finally got my diagnosis, that I have support around me, people who are able to understand. She just spent a little bit of energy on something. Now she's got to take a nap. Okay, let's let her get some rest, because that's really hard. That was
I can't imagine.
Yeah, it was a hard adjustment, and it's hard to figure out, that you can ask for that help. It's hard to understand that it's okay to grieve who I thought I was going to be,
Mm-hmm.
while still trying to enjoy who I really am becoming. So
It's crazy how life throws us curves, and we think life was going to be one way, then it turns out another. And while it's hard and sometimes doesn't seem fair and it just seems awful in the moment, how it also brings other things that you can be grateful for. At the same time, sometimes I struggle with being grateful for something that came from such a tragic event, if that makes sense. I'm like, well, if this didn't happen, would this have happened? Like, you know what I'm saying?
exactly.
So tell us, you're working on a second book, yeah?
I am. Yes. So the second book is the main character, Phoebe, and one of the not so nice characters. Well, now they've become friends. And so
Okay.
in the second book, they work hard to buy some new wheels, and they have to hit the brakes when an accident happens and work through this unexpected situation together. So the second book is about friendship and hard work and generosity. So again, I try to bring in these lessons, and I try to make it fun, not just for the kids, but for the big kids,
And the
adults.
people maybe reading it to the kids.
Right, exactly. I try to bring in either, through the words or the characters, or even, working with the illustrations, or the illustrator, some like little Easter eggs for the adults so that they can enjoy it as well. And it's been an amazing journey. If you had asked me when I was a kid, everybody always asks, what do you want to be when you grow up? I never would have said author. Never. And it's not that I had anything against it. It just wasn't in my head.
Yeah.
And it was because with all of my symptoms and with Lyme, what happens is your treatment actually makes you feel a lot worse before you get better. And I was super hypersensitive to like every sense, light, sound, my kids touching me, my mother-in-law cooking dinner, just the smell. I couldn't eat anything. So I would spend a lot of time just in my room reading, and I read voraciously. And that's when these ideas just started coming. And so again, it's one of those things I never would have told anybody as a child that, what I wanted to be as an adult was an author. But I'm so glad I'm here. And I'm thankful for the road that brought me here.
And if someone would like to purchase your books, could you tell them where to find you?
So the books are on Amazon. Well, the first book is on Amazon, and the second one will be posted hopefully in the next month or so. It would be Speedy Phoebe is the title of the first book on Amazon. The second book will be attached to it. I'm on Instagram, and the my tag is Ryanne Sadiq _author. I have my website is www.twupublishing.com. It's a fun little website.
Love your website. It's super cute.
I tried to make it really playful, so I hope that resonates with people. But they can go to my website, sign up for my newsletter, and get information on when the new book is coming. They get free coloring pages and a free word search if they sign up for my newsletter. So just try to make things as fun as I can. And I just, like I said, I'm glad to be here, and I enjoy sharing my story with others. And I just hope that Phoebe brings a smile to people's faces, just like she brings a smile to mine.
And I will link everything in the description as well, so it's easy for everybody to get to as well.
I appreciate that.
And then before we end, is there anything that helped you in your journey? Maybe to recognize that the change is okay, or an aha moment for you that may help someone else?
I think a lot of times when we're seeing someone who's grieving or having a hard time, we want to fix it for them. And the reality is we can't. So I think for me, it was kind of leaning into those dark days, kind of going with the grief, just letting myself feel it. And then, being able to walk out the other side, go to the dark, feel your feelings, and then leave it. Don't live there. And if you have someone who's going through it, don't tell them how to feel. Don't tell them how to go through it. Just be there with them. If they need something from you, they're going to have to work up the courage to ask you. And, if you really want to help, like if somebody had just come and done my dishes without saying
anything. Yep. Just doing it.
Let's talk about, your life choices. No, just let me rest and do my dishes. Like that would have been helpful.
Yeah.
And that did, that did happen. My mother-in-law was amazing. She was living with us while I was in like the thick of all of this. So that did help. But just, it's like I said, it's okay to feel those dark thoughts and have those deep feelings. Feel them. Don't try to suppress them. Don't try to ignore them, because that's not helping anybody. Feel them and then let them go.
Yep, I agree. Don't stay there. Feel it. I always say you can be down, but you got to get back up. Well, we appreciate you being here with us today and sharing your story. And like I said, I'll link everything down below. And thank you again.
It was great to be here, Linda. Thank you for letting me share my story.
We hope you enjoyed our conversation today. If you would like to join us on Facebook, you can find us at Grief Sucks, Life After Loss. We look forward to seeing you again.